Hello, my name is Dave and I just love to talk about progressive music to newbies and devotees alike. And in this video I'm going to talk about the worst album that Steve Hackett has made in his solo career. Released in August 1981, this album has become the dreaded millstone around his neck for his albums and one I feel I need to get out of my system. More of that in a moment. But first, if you'd like to be made aware of when new videos are released, then please consider subscribing to the channel. So when asked about this album, Steve Hackett once explained, and I quote, "The 80s was a time of great pressure, where everyone was under the threat of losing their contract with the respective companies. You were forced to reinvent yourself to some degree in order to be able to continue on, or so it seemed to me." End quote. So this was the background to the release of this album. Hackett was attempting to A, move from a prog dinosaur to an 80s artiste, and B, responding to the demands of the record company. Cured was the Mark I version of these changes and heralded a massive about turn, and being honest, not everything worked. However, I don't believe it as bad as some make out. The original 1981 edition had 8 radio-friendly lengthened tracks, with the 2007 remix adding 3 bonus tracks. What greeted fans on the opening track of this album was a multi-harmonised Hackett a cappella opening. What follows is a light and airy track that introduces us to the full Hackett vocal tone, or in many cases the lack of it. What had occurred was Steve taking intensive vocal lessons and exercises that at times left his vocal cords shot. It did sound weak to most ears, but this was laying the path for later improvement that did take some time to implement. Fellow contributor Nick Magnus had been with Steve for a number of years, and he had contributed keyboards and, more controversially, the programming of the Lin 1 drum machine, which caused more consternation with fans. So, Hope I Don't Wake Up opens, and besides the harmonies, everything appears to be synthesized, and it's a shock. Lyrically, it has a fairly simple message to it, and a melody resembling Every Day, but really nowhere near as good, so overall it's a forgettable opening. Things don't get much better with Picture Postcard. Here, the Hackett vocals are released without support, and it's not a pleasing result. The saving grace for this one is the sax solo from John Aycock, and here a mutated sound is heard to great effect in his solo. Can't Let Go has a 2-minute opener and certainly seems to promise more this time around. A menacing bass beat, and yes, a mellotron, bringing this to the boil before it settles into familiar territory once again, and adds more high-pitched whining in the vocals. The pattern is being established somewhat by now. But wait! A saviour is on the horizon in the form of the Air-Conditioned Nightmare. It's a proper Hackett track at last. Driving bass performed by Hackett himself. A lead guitar that sounds like a violin, but who cares? Some excellent keyboards from Nick Magnus. Light that blue touch paper, and we have liftoff. The album has finally started. But wait again. Poop, poop, and treble poop. Funny Feeling is next, and we've taken a huge step back again. It sounds like a reworking of The Show from the Defector album, and I'm left with a funny feeling after this one, and it's not nice. From nowhere, A Cradle of Swans appears as a traditional Hackett nylon string acoustic classical piece. It's a beautiful tune, but somehow it's so out of place with what's gone on previously. It is, however, a beautiful piece and a standout. Overnight Sleeper comes next, and this opens with a similar acoustic feel as the last track. It quickly opens up into an Eastern Asian type sound that just blasts into life. It's a fast-paced track and sounds really good until around the minute and a half the vocals kick in again. It's not too bad though, and shows how the album might have sounded perhaps with a bit more invention. The track is graced with a delightful flute solo from Brother John, and that really adds some class to this track. The album finishes with Turn Back Time, and it's a real slushy piece that I simply do not like. It's something you would have expected Phil to write in his prime, and it's a poor way to finish an album. Of the bonus tracks, Tales from a Riverbank, which is a version of the theme tune to a BBC children's programme from the 60s. Second Chance is a beautiful duet with Brother John and really should have been on the album. And then it finishes off with a rousing live version of the Air Conditioned Nightmare, which is a great piece, as we discussed earlier. Even the album cover is poor, a simple picture of Steve that relates little to the album itself or the content. The thing is, it's over in just 34 minutes in total for the standard version. Let's look at what's gone on. Steve is into the 80s, insecure about his musical future and under pressure from the record company. And it shows. A limited budget, forced to change direction, attempting to sing lead and trialling a near 100% electronic album. It was all too much at once, all too much. Now, to give Steve credit, like many others who were forced to adopt these changes, he did come out the other side much more strongly as an artiste. Not all the tracks were hopeless. Air Conditioned Nightmare was a beauty, a Cradle of Swans, a classic masterpiece, an Overnight Sleeper, a taste of how it could have been. It's no masterpiece, but it does warrant a passing listen as homage to the wonderful work Hackett has done over the years. I'll pop purchasing links in the description box should you want to purchase the album. A highlight, Air Conditioned Nightmare. I've included a link to this one in the description. Low light, Turn Back Time. So these are my thoughts on the album. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, press the like button and check out the description box for purchasing links and ways to support the channel. On screen now is a link to my favourite Steve Hackett track from his first album, and there's also a link to my Steve Hackett playlist where you can enjoy many more reviews and reactions from my musical hero. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on the Album Review channel. Bye for now.